I've had a joke going on for quite a while about how much I dislike Resident Evil 4.
Oh, for fuck's sake. This game is the culmination of that gameplay style, and for most is what pushed the series over the edge into the realm of ruined. But I personally believe that RE4 was the catalyst and that RE6 is just a natural progression for the path the series took.
However, I enjoyed this game more than 4, and of course the second I heard of the game getting a remake, I was skeptically excited for it. I watched the first trailer and liked what I saw before going radio silent. Until I played the demo, and I got pretty emotional about it on stream, and pre-ordered the game that night. I got my hands on it day release and played it in one straight sitting, which, according to Steam, lasted 11 hours, and boy did I enjoy my time with it. Since then, I've not revisited it in any real capacity. I played it a bit during my birthday stream before I switched to Metal Gear Rising, so now it's time for me to play the whole game again. Enter the village, find Ashley, get myself cured, and escape this weirdo cult. What will I think about Resident Evil 4 Remake a second time around? Let's find out. From the moment this game was announced, there was an immediate backlash to it from fans of the original that claimed it didn't need a remake. It was already a perfect game, and remaking it was simply pointless. One of the things that RE4 is famous for is introducing the world to the over-the-shoulder style of camera. And since its release in 2005, we've made a lot of advancements in how this camera system works. This is felt immediately, as you can turn the camera separately to Leon in a full 360, rather than just one set angle like before, allowing you to get a better feel for the area around you. In the original RE4, I never felt like I was seeing a whole lot of the combat arena, meaning I would walk into dead ends or would get hit by enemies I couldn't see until they were right next to me. But RE4 Remake allows me to quickly snap my head around to the enemy and dodge their attack or kill them. Leon also controls a lot better in the remake, since now we have normal 3D controls instead of the tank controls. He moves with a good weight, but when sprinting he is one slippery boy, getting through gaps I never would have gotten away with before. You also have a crouch button, which is handy for dodging attacks or getting under objects in the environment. Crouching isn't the only new ability Leon's gained. He can also parry now. Fuck. With a well-timed press of the fire button while an enemy is attacking you, Leon will pull out his knife, if you have one, and parry the attack. The timing for this is pretty generous, but I'm assuming on harder difficulties it gets tighter. This is a massive improvement over the original, as if you get caught off guard, you have a split-second chance to stop yourself from taking damage. Enemies will also grab you, and you have two options to break free of this. You can either mash the interact key, or you can spend a hit point on your knife, causing it to take damage. That's another thing. Your knives can break. If you're over-reliant on your knife and parry too much, or use it to break free from grabs a lot, it will break on you and leave you stuck, so better choose wisely where to use it. Aiming is also far more fluid now, since we have been granted the ability to move while aiming. This is a massive change that was desperately needed. I felt the original was too fast-paced to keep the old RE tradition of stopping whenever you aim, especially with the higher count of enemies and the fact that those enemies are faster than the previous zombies. Ganados are the standard enemy here, and they differ from zombies in many ways. They run towards you with weapons in hand. Weapons consist of anything they can find. Farm tools, kitchen knives, dynamite, anything. They can duck under shots, dodge to the side, all of which makes them a greater challenge to go up against. And that's not even counting stronger enemies like the Chainsaw Man. This garden tool wielding boy is the reason that I can't do yard work anymore. He is terrifying. The second I hear that chainsaw coming from around the corner, I nearly die of fright. The regenerators aren't much better. those noises, my god. I was ready to cry when these fuckers appeared in front of me until I got the sniper with the thermal scope, but even then, they were still scary as all hell. Hitting headshots has never been so satisfying. Seeing a Ganado stagger backwards before running up to them and giving them a quick kick to the head, staggering everyone behind, never gets old. Upon death, many enemies drop extra ammo for your weapons, meaning that killing enemies allows you to continue the slaughter. Speaking of the guns, the variety of them is insane as well. So many different firearms to customize your playstyle. 4 different knives, 6 different pistols, 4 shotguns, a sniper, 2 assault rifles, 3 magnums, 3 SMGs, and 4 special weapons. The variety in playstyles is so vast, and you can really feel the difference in the Mercenaries mode. Not only that, but these weapons pack a punch, one that is felt through sound. The pistol is weighty and the TMP is light yet punchy. These sounds are all amazing and make the gunplay even more satisfying than it already is. The pistol in particular is my favourite. I mean, just listen to it. The graphics are also beautiful. It's insane what 18 years of a difference looks like. Environments have gone from blocky with muddy textures to one of the most photorealistic games I've ever laid eyes on. RE Engine, once again, showing a step up since the last entry, as it seems to do with every release. The Ganados are disgusting as well, seeing every detail as Leon cracks skulls open or a plug is burst from their head. Animations are similarly incredible. The game uses motion capture in order to get the most natural looking body animations along with the small nuances of facial expressions on our cast's faces. In gameplay, all of the animations flow seamlessly into one another. At no point did I feel that Leon's movement was unnatural or superhuman. He moved exactly as I expected any person to if they were to perform these actions. Leon looks as amazing as ever. The S in his name definitely stands for sexy. However, he has some competition now, as Luis isn't too bad looking either, along with having a rather lovely accent. However, we don't just have these sexy boys, but also some lovely ladies. Ada Wong is back, looking as good as ever, and of course we have Baby Eagle herself, Ashley Graham, who is just so amazingly beautiful and adorable that I actually want to protect her, unlike the annoying Ashley of old. Ashley is now an even more perfect escort mission since she clings to your back even more than before, and when she gets grabbed, she doesn't do that annoying ass scream. There's no point when I felt frustrated with Ashley or it felt like she was getting in the way of my shots. She's also way less helpless here, actually doing a lot to help throughout the game. My biggest and only complaint about this game is that the music is pretty forgettable. The composition seems to go for the feel of the music being present but not necessarily noticed during gameplay, which is a shame since this series has some of the most iconic tracks in gaming, and even the original had very recognisable themes and motifs. Even the save theme isn't that good here, which is the biggest shame out of them all, since the save theme is the one that usually no matter what game in the series you play is a banger, but here it's forgettable. Gameplay is pretty similar to the original, but due to the controls it feels a lot faster. Exploring areas, grabbing key items in order to progress, fighting off Ganados, all while managing your ammo, healing items, guns and anything else you might be carrying in the attaché case. The attaché case is a fabulous bit of kit. A briefcase that we never actually see Leon carrying, but it stores all of his important items. Your guns, first aid sprays, herbs and ammunition for all your weapons. You can expand it over the course of the game and also gain charms for it which offer different gameplay benefits. How do you expand your case though? Well my friends, we'll come back to that later. You never have to open the case to switch weapons either, another improvement which was needed. You can equip weapons to a weapon wheel that you can switch between far faster, speeding up the gameplay even more. This also includes throwables like grenades and flashes, allowing players to swap between fight and flight far more fluidly. Often in RE4, I felt I was struggling for ammo, however Remake brings in a crafting system that mitigates that problem. At any point, as long as you have the resources and gunpowder, you can craft any ammo type for any of your guns, and I love it. Most people complain about crafting systems in games, but here it's implemented really well. Similar to The Last of Us, where you are rewarded with materials for exploring the environments to their fullest, returning to previously locked areas or solving an extra puzzle or two. It's not just given to you whenever you need it. So far I've spoken about the game generally, but I think it's time we get specific, and I start talking you through the plot and bosses of Resident Evil 4. The game begins with an opening narration of Leon recounting what has happened since we last saw him in RE2. He is now a specially trained agent working directly for the President of the United States, and his mission, should he choose to accept it, is to find the President's daughter, Ashley Graham. She has been abducted by the Los Iluminados cult in Spain, who plan to use her to spread their parasite, the Las Plagas, all over the world. We catch up with Leon and he is being escorted to Ashley's last known whereabouts when one of the police officers goes missing. Leon begins his hunt and finds what looks to be an abandoned house. This is where we meet our first Ganado. These Plagas-infected civilians appear to be human on the surface, but are all under the control of the cult's leader, Osmond Sadler. They can all act independently, but at any point Sadler can take direct control or can guide them to do his bidding. Leon dispatches this one quickly with his absolute thunder thighs, breaking the guy's neck. After checking out the basement and finding the dead police officer, the Ganado we just took out walks down the stairs. The Ganados in this game occasionally can have their neck broken by your melee moves, but will get back up and become faster and more erratic to deal with. Kinda like turbo zombies from RE3. We make our way back upstairs and discover that Ashley's being held in a church in the main village. Many Ganados burst through the door and Leon decides to show himself out before proceeding. This is where we are introduced to Rooster. This is Leon's help back home, Ingrid Hunnigan. She isn't in this game as much as I would have liked, mostly being used for mission updates, but I hope we see more of her at some point in the future. Making our way to the main village, we see our other escort being burned in the square, and our first big combat sequence begins. This is the most iconic part of Resident Evil 4. Everyone who has played the original game has their own story about this segment, whether they were terrified, stressed out, or felt like the most badass action hero out there. The villagers swarm you for what feels like forever, and even the Chainsaw Man gets involved. This guy is kind of a recurring character, but nowhere near Mr. X levels of determination. The residents force you to maneuver through every building in order to avoid being overwhelmed, taking quick shots as you run to your next short-lived salvation. Eventually the bell rings to signal your fight for survival has come to an end, and Leon utters the one line that defines the kind of character he is.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Nick Apostolidis does a fantastic job here, taking his depiction of Leon in RE2 Remake and toughening him up a little without sounding like he's trying too hard. Although, his one-liners just aren't as good. The entire cast does an amazing job. At no point did I feel that the characters were unbelievable, despite some of them having unbelievable designs, and like I said earlier, Ashley Graham is a massive improvement from the original. We continue on to a house by the lake, where upon entering the basement, there's a bag moving on the ground. Opening up, we find Luis Serra, before being knocked out by our first antagonist, Mendez. We are then injected with the Las Plagas parasite, and Chapter 1 ends. Resident Evil 4 is broken down into manageable chapters, meaning you never have to play the game in overly long sessions until reaching a save point or a place to take a break. There are a total of 16 in the whole game. Chapter ends are placed at good points, similar to the Devil May Cry games, that represent time jumps, an end to a gameplay idea, or a change in focus in the plot. Chapter 2 begins with yet another brutal Ganado kill related to Leon's thighs. Seriously, this is getting ridiculous. We've been stripped of all our gear and have to stealth our way around enemies until we get it back. If you crouch walk behind an enemy and have a knife on you, the game will allow you to stealth kill them. This is great for thinning enemies out if you can before having to spend ammo to dispatch foes. This section is the first to have a puzzle, and I really do grudge calling it that, as it's simply a locked door that we need to circumnavigate. Puzzles in this game range from piss easy to okay. One of the ones I remember the most is the crystal ball we put into a door and have to twist and turn it to match the symbol underneath. Apart from that, none of them were overly challenging, but in fairness, this isn't a classic RE survival horror, but more of a horror action game. After retrieving our gear as we leave this concrete compound, we are greeted at the door by a familiar face who has only one question for us.
What are you buying?
The merchant is back, baby, and better than ever. This is where you buy new guns, increase the size of the attaché case, trade spinels to get exclusive upgrades, and make your weapons more powerful. He's also a master salesman to boot. If I ever walk away from him without buying anything, I feel bad because the guy's just trying to make a living. Spinels are gained by completing contracts, which could include killing certain enemies, selling particular items, or shooting blue medallions in a certain area. Upgrades and weapons are bought with this game's currency, pesetas. These are found in the environment or dropped by enemies upon killing them in place of the aforementioned ammo. You can also find treasures and jewels that can be sold in order to gain more money. Combining these can also offer greater rewards. This also applies to weapons, ammo, and healing items. Want to get rid of a gun for a new one? Sell it and you could probably afford the next one you want. However, I don't often sell my guns since I put so much money into upgrading certain ones that I want to keep them simply because I'm too invested to let go. A little while later we enter a house in order to obtain the key for the church in the village and loop back around to investigate it further, where we are once again met by Mendez. He is close to killing us, but sees the Plagas are bonding with us and we are becoming more infected and thus more like the other cult members. We are saved as he is shot by a mysterious character in red who zips away before we get a look at exactly who it is. Outside the house we save a dog. If you don't do this, you're a monster, and continue towards the village. We enter the church and Baby Eagle is nowhere to be found. We come across yet another church that Ashley is said to be in, but the door is locked with a symbol that we need to find. We make our way to the lake, passing through an ominously large arena-looking place before finding the merchant advertising a new attraction. This is the shooting range, an area where you have to earn points to get tokens which can be spent to roll the dice and get different charms for your attaché case to offer random gameplay benefits. You can also get tickets to upgrade weapons if your score is high enough. It's a really fun distraction and a great way to improve your aim. Getting to the edge of the lake, we find a boat but need to enter a fishing village to get fuel for it. This section's fine, but not much to talk about really. After this though, we get our first boss fight in the game. Del Lago. This fish is not an easy catch, less of a Magikarp and more of a Moby Dick. Your boat gets caught on Del Lago's fin and drags you along behind it. The only weapon you have to tackle this creature is an infinite supply of harpoons that you plunge into its back. Occasionally it will stop for a brief period before coming at you at full speed. This will repeat until the fish goes down and its blood fills the lake. This fight is good, but more of a gimmick rather than a true test of skill, but don't worry, there's more down the line. After this fight, Leon coughs up some blood and passes out in the boat. We wake up after seeing a vision of Sadler, and Hunnigan tells us that we have been out for 3 hours. This chapter lets us use the boat to explore the lake and all the areas it connects together. The merchant, multiple caves, a chicken farm, the lake settlement from earlier, the fish village, and the boat in the middle of the lake where we can find a new weapon, the Red 9. The Red 9 is an older pistol design which can have a stock attached to it to increase accuracy. I didn't keep it for this playthrough, instead wanting to keep the default pistol with the underbarrel laser to emulate the original game. We are searching for 2 stone heads that will give us the key to the church. This chapter has a lot of side content, and I really enjoy it. Makes a change from the usual linear nature of the rest of the game. Wouldn't say it's my favourite, but it is a nice change of pace. After this we get our second boss fight, El Gigante. This takes place in the ominously big arena I was talking about earlier. This massive monstrosity bursts through the doors and he is ready for a fight. You have to injure him until the Plaga sticks out from his back, then you shoot that until he gets staggered, allowing you to melee it for big damage. The dog we saved from earlier returns to help us out, acting as a distraction or occasionally doing damage of its own to the creature. He can pick up the small buildings in the area and throw them at you. He can stomp on you, or he can just punch you. His swings are super wide and he is huge, so moving is a necessity here in order to stay alive. The TMP is a great weapon to use here since it can do a lot of damage to the Plagas parasite in a small amount of time. Upon his defeat, we enter the church, complete a small puzzle with light, and find Ashley. She tries to kill us immediately when we enter the room and doesn't listen to us when we try to explain. She runs out and stares out the window before both her and Leon see not only a vision of Sadler, but also a horde of Ganados heading towards the church. We make our way out of the church and now we move into a new form of gameplay that will persist throughout a good amount of the rest of the game. Escorting Ashley. For a decent portion of the game, you are playing an extended escort mission, but unlike other infamous examples, this one isn't too bad. Ashley doesn't have a lot of freedom to move around. She doesn't follow any preset paths, she sticks to your back, and at most, a couple steps behind you. And if you run through a crowd, there's a 70% chance she will also make it through without a scratch. Or if you're me, she'll be grabbed or incapacitated if the Ganados even so much as sneeze in her general direction. This entails either picking her up or shooting the Ganado who grabbed her to make them let go. This can be avoided in some areas by making her hide in lockers. There's also a second follow option for Ashley where she trails behind a little, and this option is awful, because it led to her not getting out of the way of enemies who were right next to her in the water room that I had already avoided, which was pretty annoying, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Ashley is also used to help get through environments or find treasure, since you can boost her over walls that the game prompts you to. After some more exploring, we make it to another iconic section of Resident Evil 4, the cabin defense. This is similar to the opening village attack, as it is just an all-out assault from the Ganados, but before that, Leon makes me very jealous. He and Luis don't quite get a chance to get it on, however, as Ashley and the Ganados have to butt in. We get Ashley out of the building, and it begins. Like I said, this section is an all-out assault. Ganados swarm from all sides and in all varieties. The space is cramped and small. All you have are your guns, your reflexes, and Luis. Yeah, you actually fight next to Luis for this section of the game, and he's decently effective at helping you out and keeping Ganados off your back. Even one of the bigger brutes turns up at one point. After brutally murdering about half the population of Spain, Ashley eventually comes back and the three of us escape. Ashley coughs up some blood and reveals that she too is infected with the plagas like Leon. Luis says he knows how to remove the parasite, but you need the right equipment to do it. He leaves us for now, and we figure out what our next step is. Luis meets our mysterious red figure from earlier. Ada Wong is back to retrieve a plagas sample. She seems to be using Luis to get closer to it, the same way she used Leon to get G-Virus in RE2. She's clearly got some sort of collection or something. We are informed that our helicopter that was meant to pick us up cannot land due to the adverse weather conditions. We reach a section where two chainsaw women come after us, and Leon does the most extra thing ever to get away from them.
But that backflip though.
Making our way through a massive door, we are once again met by Mendez, who is no longer fucking around. He seriously rocks Leon's shit before locking the door behind him. We run away while shooting a horde of Ganados on the way and eventually enter a barn. Mendez bursts through the wall and we enter our boss fight with him. He becomes a twisted version of his normal self with way longer spine and big tentacles coming from his back. We have to stagger him and then stab him with a knife in his back. Do this a few times and he will enter phase 2, where he decides that legs are no longer necessary. He hangs from the frame of the building, throwing everything he can at us, including explosive barrels and flaming chunks of wood. After shooting him enough, he will eventually die. We can grab his eyeball and we escape from the burning barn. We make our way along the path and we enter our next area, the castle. Luis tells us he has a medicine to give us that will help suppress our plagas infection, and we need to meet him in the courtyard of the castle to get it. Why he doesn't just bring it to us is beyond my understanding, but hey, gives us a reason to keep moving forward. We make our way through a part of the castle with catapults that pelt you with flaming rocks while Ganados swarm you. We need to get a cannon to fire back and to break the door out of here. This area actually becomes one of the Mercenaries maps. This section requires us to keep moving or else be rained down on by fire. It's a great section that adds a good amount of stress to the normal gameplay, asking something different of the player than just gunning down enemies one after another. We enter the castle proper and meet our next big bad to replace Mendez, Ramon Salazar. This man is partying like it's 1789 with his fashion sense and his rather lavish decor. He's also rather short. This is a full-grown adult, but he's the height of my 3-year-old niece. I don't understand how this guy's a threat, apart from having an army of Ganados at his fingertips. We make our way into his basement and find the most horrifying thing I've ever seen. A Madokan. Nah, I'm just kidding, but he does bear remarkable similarity to one. This gets us the dungeon key after killing him. This fight is interesting as he can't see us, but he can hear everything we do, so you have to stealth your way around him before shooting the weak point on his back. Continuing past many door puzzles, we enter the water room. The water room is another iconic location known for giving players a hard time, and I found it fine enough, to be honest. A little overwhelming with how the enemies swarm you and then others fire crossbows at you from above, but overall another great combat encounter. This is where I had my problem with Ashley's following mode, but other than that, it was fine. The second section though, I had to retry this section 3 different times because of Ashley. In this part, Ashley splits up from you and you have to stop Ganado's getting to her as she raises the walkway out of the water. The problem arises with the angle at which some of them approach her, which led to me accidentally shooting her with the TMP's wide spread, which gave me a game over. On the second attempt, I got past the whole thing without issue, but turned around to shoot a Ganado chasing us across the walkway and Ashley ducked down to avoid my aim before standing up again as I took the shot, meaning I shot her in the head at point blank range, leading to a third attempt. This one went fine, but I thought I'd mention the others as this section gave me more trouble than I was expecting. After that nightmare is over, Ashley gets possessed by Sadler, steals Leon's knife, and threatens to slash her neck open. She goes behind a set of bars though, and runs off after being let free from her possession. We have to find another way around, not before murdering some fish though. We call Hunnigan, but our signal is being jammed, so we are without intel for this leg of the journey. We fight through many rooms until we are met with Ada Wong again. This is the first time these two have met since the events of RE2, so Leon does have a slight chip on his shoulder. He tries to get information from her, but she is her usual flirty and elusive self. She tells us Ashley is doomed either way, but that won't stop Leon. We solve another door puzzle, and this one actually made me stop for a second and think, since I couldn't just brute force it. Our next section involves an armoured El Gigante who throws debris at us, and we have to dart between cover while getting to a cannon to shoot back at him. This section is a good test of your ability to think on the fly and avoid projectiles. We find Ashley and assure her that everything is going to be okay before we continue on with our mission. And with that we reach the end of chapter 8, meaning that we are halfway through the game at this point. So far, I'm really enjoying it, and I like all the little changes to the story and the characters. Fits in with the more believable direction the series has taken with this run of remakes, rather than the absurdity that was the original with all of its one-liners and quips and over-the-top villains. But despite the grittier tone, the villains are not any less ridiculous, and the game still doesn't take itself too seriously, just adds a slightly more believable edge. So now let's move on with the second half of this frankly ridiculous adventure. Luis gives us another call and tells us he's now in the castle's ballroom. We enter the courtyard and have a small hedge maze to navigate. In this maze we have to pull 3 switches in order to open the door to continue while being attacked by dogs. For the third switch, Ashley will be attacked by some Ganados and you have to save her before continuing. We enter a new section of the castle and need to find 3 statue heads to continue. These are some fairly easy items to get, either having to fight a room of enemies or solve a short puzzle. We are introduced to knights here, who you have to knock their helmet off to kill the plaga inside. They are weak to blue flames however. This will be important shortly. We put the 3 heads on the statue and Leon gets stuck in a cage. Tells Ashley to run and she's chased down while Leon goes absolutely ham. I mean, look at this man go! This is where we enter the section that gets repeated in all the RE remakes thus far, the section where we play as a different character. Ada, Sherry in RE2, Carlos in RE3, and now Ashley in RE4. This part pulls a similar move to the hotel in Silent Hill 2 in that it strips you of all weapons that you've become used to and leaves you defenseless. Another fair comparison would be Outlast. We have to figure out how to get Leon out of the cage by navigating through the library area of the castle. You pick up a blue lantern and are chased down by the knights I was talking about. This lantern you hold though can freeze them in place if you aim the light at them. You do this until you head down into a dungeon place and set the lights up in order to get a stone. You now have to make your way back to Leon without a light, dodging all the knights on your way. Ashley tosses a key to Leon which unlocks the door to the cage before being grabbed by one of Salazar's right-hand Ganados. We now have to try and save her. Again. We continue into the ballroom where we don't find Luis, but instead a new enemy, the Novistador. These bastards are really annoying. They fly around and puke on you as an attack. This flying attack comes at you so quick that at times I've not even gotten out of an animation like climbing a ladder by the time I get hit. After that we get to Ashley and see her being used in some sort of cult ritual. Leon can't interfere unfortunately as we are thrown into the caves. We explore around the caves and find an elevator, but it needs to be powered up. Upon reaching the circuit box, we are attacked by this big bastard, and he is one tough son of a bitch. I threw so much at him, from shotgun shells to grenades, and he took all of it in his stride, and I didn't even manage to defeat him. I managed to squirm my way onto the elevator, however, which was a win regardless, and upon reaching the top, we find who else but fucking Luis, holding the medicine he promised us. It works at suppressing our infection for the time being, but we have to get to Ashley before she becomes unsavable. We traverse the mines now with Luis and come across our next boss fight. We have to fight 2 El Gigantes, one of which is armoured. We have to lure them onto the centre circle and stagger them so that we can drop them into the lava below. However, the armoured boy won't go down so easily. Luis appears to piss off for a minute, but comes back with a ton of dynamite. He hooks it onto the thing's back before we shoot it and drop it. A good fight with an AI companion.
Possible testing for an RE5 remake?
Our next section is the minecart, and I really enjoyed this part. The minecart goes up and down and you have to lean on the corners to stop it tipping. There's boards you have to shoot so that you don't hit your head. Other enemies are in minecarts shooting flaming arrows at you, and you have to do this twice. The second time, the chainsaw man gets involved, and it is amazing. Not quite as good as the original version, but still a great take on this scene, and I'm very happy it doesn't have the QTE at the end. More mine, and 1 elevator later, Luis is gibbering on before he suddenly shuts up, which isn't like him. He's been stabbed in the back by our next boss fight. Krauser. Krauser is an old superior of Leon's, trained in the same program as him, and refers to Leon as Rookie. In this fight, we cannot use our guns and must fight him hand to hand with our knife. We have to parry his attacks, and when he's staggered, get a few slashes in. I love this as a change of pace to the usual combat, and also it makes me feel really fucking cool to be fighting like the guys in the Hong Kong action movies. Krauser is getting ready to kill us, but in a last act of defiance, Luis shoots him and he leaves. Luis puts a cigarette in his mouth and we light it for him before he dies as he asks us if people can change. We head up yet another elevator, fuck me how many times am I going to say that, before going on a quick detour to the throne room. After that quick sidetrack, we ride a gondola to the clock tower. Where were you in RE3? And make our ascent, fighting many ganados and riding an elevator. After this, we see Ashley being taken away by Krauser, and we prepare for another boss fight. This time we are going against Ramon Salazar himself. Not that intimidating until he reaches his true form, and fucking hell, it is disgusting. He jumps around the ceiling and walls, and we have to shoot the little body in his mouth until he falls down and we can stab him. Do this a few times and do enough damage to beat the fight and be rid of this tiny pest. We head down another fucking elevator and see Krauser leaving in a boat. We get to the boathouse and see another one sitting, but with no keys. Ada comes to save the day, holding the keys for the boat. We head to another island with Ada as her and Leon discuss what happened back in Raccoon City before she does her usual and leaves us to it, and Leon nearly crashes the boat. We are now on the island and have to go up against enemies with zappy sticks, body armour, meaning your shots need to be more precise, and some of them have guns now, including rocket launchers. We also have to go up against turrets that, if you enter their sight line, they will open fire. Luckily, you can change the angle of them to make them a bit easier to get around. We enter a lab and find Ashley in a cell, but we need a keycard to get in, and this is the scariest section in the whole game. Ashley's section was tense because I was more or less defenseless throughout it, but here I am armed to the teeth and I was tense. This is where we meet the regenerators. These fuckers are the most annoying enemy in the whole game, but this first section with them is amazing. They don't spring out right away. They wait to catch you off guard when you don't expect it.
They don't look like anything we've seen thus far. However, they're just human looking enough to be recognisable as an entity, but also their creepy smile and regenerating limbs make them so incredibly unsettling. The only way to defeat them is to get the thermal scope for one of your snipers and shoot specific weak points. If you don't hit these weak points, they will just keep coming back and you will waste your ammo. You have to find the scope though, and can't buy it from the merchant, meaning that the first time you encounter the regenerators, you're not going to have it.
We dodge around them and level up our keycard until it's level 3 so that we can access the cell that Ashley's in. We get in and give her the medicine to slow down her infection, after which Leon checks his ammo in the coolest way possible. This man is just so effortlessly sexy, and I don't know how much longer I can hold myself back. Ashley wakes up and we head off to try and escape the island. There's a lift we need to go up, but the way to it is blocked by a wall. Luckily, Ashley somehow knows how to operate heavy machinery, and we have to protect her while she smashes it open. On my first playthrough, I actually hit a great triple headshot here, and I'm really fucking proud of it. After that, we find an amber where the Plagas are held when they are in the mines, and we finally see Sadler in person, where he has the ability to stop us from doing anything and control our bodies like he does with the Ganados. He freezes Leon in place and controls Ashley to take aim, but she resists and hits a nasty double headshot. She is taken away, and we are left to go get her again. However, this does lead to what I think is the best boss battle in the whole game, Jack Krauser. This is a multi-stage boss fight that spans across an entire ruined arena. You have access to your entire arsenal this time, but I do think the coolest way to do it is with the knife. After a certain point, he will sprout an extra long arm blade and jump out to surprise you. There's also a section where he shoots you with explosive arrows from his bow. The final stage is an all-out slog against him, with both of his mutated arms. One of these arms can be used to block bullets, so you'll have to wait for an opening. We defeat him, and Leon chooses to stab Krauser in the chest with his own knife to finally kill him. The next section we play while getting help from everybody's favourite character, Mike the helicopter pilot. He provides us with some serious heavy ordnance to blow Ganados sky high, or shoot them with his minigun. We have to even take down an AA gun at one point so that he can continue to help us. Mike is absolutely my favourite character, and I really hope he helps us for the rest of the game. So, as we're about to enter Mike's helicopter, he gets taken down by Navistadors and dies. This is now where we get our most intense battles against Ganados, with everything being thrown our way. Shields, zapsticks, guns, brutes, everything. We finally reach the sacrificial altar and Sadler controls us again. We break out of it this time though, just as we're about to succumb to the Plagas by Ada shooting Sadler to break his control. We grab Ashley and make a break for Luis's lab. Leon is stumbling while carrying Ashley and nearly succumbing to the infection, but he gets her to the lab and removes the parasite from her body before passing out. He wakes up to Ashley having removed the parasite, and with the two now cured, it's time for our grand escape. This is now the final chapter of the game, and we visit the merchant one last time to buy one final gun, the Killer 7. This is a magnum weapon that we will use in the final boss fight. We go outside to see Ada strung up. We shoot her down, and our final battle with Osmond Sadler begins. You have to shoot his little eyes in order to weaken him so that we can stab the eye in his mouth. He will jump around or charge towards you as you shoot at him. You have to repeat this process a few times. We fire a final shot and he falls off the platform only to wrap himself around it, turning himself into a mess of tentacles and exposing his biggest weak point. Ada throws us a rocket launcher and we fire it straight at him. This weakens him enough for Leon to stab him with his own staff and finish him off for good. Ada takes the amber sample she came for and leaves in a chopper, dropping us a set of keys. We head down to the bottom of the island, running past a bunch of down Ganados who can't do anything without Sadler's control, and find a jet ski. We ride the jet ski through the caves and fly out into the open ocean. Leon and Ashley exchange some kind words before riding off into the sunset, and the credits roll. There's a post-credits scene of Ada talking with Albert Wesker, and she decides not to give him the amber sample, and she flies off to an unknown destination. And that's the plot of Resident Evil 4 Remake. I fucking love this game, as I hope you can tell by the amount of time I spent talking about it, and I'm still not done. That was just the main game. There's an extra mode added in that is a lot of fun. My thoughts on the main game though is, it's amazing. As the title of the video says, I think it's a remake done right. It improves on the original in so many ways, both massive and small. From the characters to the gameplay, and there's hardly a bad thing I can say about it. The only negative I can think of is more of a series problem, rather than one specific to this game. And that's Resident Evil starting to lean more into action rather than horror. This started with Village, and I fear we'll end up with another Resident Evil 6. But there's also the chance we end up with another Resident Evil 2 remake or Resident Evil 7. We just don't know. But let's finish this review and talk about the Mercenaries Mode. Mercenaries Mode was originally added in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and it has been in many titles over the series, including the original RE4, and here it keeps its quality up from other entries. You can pick one of 4 characters on one of 3 maps and have to build up combos to keep the timer going and your score increasing. Your choice of character will change what weapons you use. For example, Leon has his default pistol, the riot gun and the stingray. Meanwhile, Luis has the Red 9 and the M1903. Each character also has a special ability. Luis can throw dynamite, while Chrysler gets access to his mutant arm. You run around the map taking out increasingly difficult ganados. You have to balance your ammo and pick up as much as you can in the level to keep yourself going, while continuing to kill more in order to keep the combo going and increase your score even more. Killing also adds to the timer, giving you more time to kill more and keep your score going up. In case you haven't noticed, everything in this mode is focused around getting a high score and competing against yourself. This makes it a very satisfying mode to tackle, as there's no objectives apart from your internal drive to beat your score. When you first open the game, the main menu will look like this. A dark forest that you ominously creep through, but after finishing it, it will change to a rotating view of the opening village, with a more warm colour palette. Also after finishing the game, you can jump into New Game Plus, with your guns and upgrades from your last playthrough to go through the whole thing again, with new costumes and accessories that can be unlocked in the shop, along with models and concept art. And that is Resident Evil 4 Remake. I hope you all enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. This one was a blast, and I love this game so much. I seriously recommend this to anyone, RE fan or not, because even if you don't like Resident Evil as a series, this can be played more or less as a standalone experience. All you're missing is a little bit of context for Ada, but that's not entirely necessary to enjoy this game. Please consider checking out my social media. My links are all down below in the description. I've been Roscoe M, and I'll see you all next time. Bye! Hi everyone, I'm here again to do my usual ending sort of narration where I talk about the making of this video and all this sort of stuff. This one was on the cards for a while, but it was surprisingly quick when I actually made it. It maybe only took me a couple weeks compared to the usual amount of time that videos take, where they can take up to like a month or something like that. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I'm really happy with the length of it. These sort of like half an hour, 40-minute videos are starting to become a bit more regular now than I expected. After the last one, Silent Hill 2, I felt really motivated to work on this one. Because I really liked Resident Evil 4 Remake. It's not perfect, I acknowledge that. And there are some things that I didn't bring up in my review, but in hindsight are kind of shit. Like Ada's voice actor or voice actress. Yeah, she's the only one that maybe didn't do as good of a job as I said. I said the whole cast was great, and I truly do believe that. But Ada Wong, after going back and re-listening, is a little bit of a letdown. Also, the microtransactions are kind of stupid because you can buy, the upgrade tickets and stuff. Also the fact that a bunch of the extra costumes, 4 sets of costumes or something like that, are DLC, as well as being able to buy the original game's soundtrack. Again, all added DLC. Stupid things like that didn't end up making it into the main review, but I wanted to kind of talk about here because otherwise people will bring them up in the comments section. But yeah. I really like this. This is probably one of my favourite videos I've made so far, and hopefully the next one will continue to be of a similar quality. It might be a little bit shorter, but I'm hoping now that my videos are reaching a good standard that people are enjoying and stuff like that. Also want to talk about the fact that I've joined Tumblr recently as I'm recording this. So that'll now be in the description as well, where I'll post occasional, behind the scenes. Basically, if you imagine it like how most people use their Twitter, that's probably how I'll use my Tumblr. But yeah, I will leave you all be, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.